Muchísimas gracias, Juan, por tu...
Thank you very much, Juan. And now I will give the floor to Eduardo Punset. I'm not sure how to introduce him because he is the main disseminator, we could say, the person in charge of disseminating science. He has made science. He has made sure that science connects with us, with all of us. It goes from reason to emotion, and I think that he's going to talk about something that is very important when being here, and is how to be happy. I think that is the only concern. Our only worry is to make sure that we are happy and to try and be happy, to try and also make people around us happy, of course. And Eduardo talks a lot about this. In this conference, we try to promote the personal autonomy of people with disabilities through the use of technologies. That is a tool that may help us be a little bit happier. So, Eduardo, I give you the floor. Thank you very much.
Bueno, muy buenos días a todos.
Good morning to everybody. It is a great pleasure to share with you these thoughts that I make out loud. I always tell my nieces that at the age of 74, I can say that I have learned 2 or perhaps 3 or 4 things maximum, and that I would like that some of these 2 or 3 things they do not forget. And in this joint reflection, we are going to try to discuss 1 or 2 of these 4 ideas. As I was coming here this morning, when I saw this beautiful building and the people who are here to share a few hours with me, I thought about an ammonite. I really like fossils, and I really like this very slow approach to time, to geologic time. And when you have in your hands a 100 million years ammonite or a trilobite who is 506,000 million years, if somebody calls you up and asks you to go running to see him or her, well, you really think it over twice, because you are in the presence of an organism or a body which is millions of years old. So it's important not to forget this geological perspective of time. And also this morning, I was remembering an anecdote for which I have a photograph, and which I've used in some of my books. It is a photograph that I have in a very special frame at home, where an ammonite, monite, which used to be in the seabed as the result of volcanic eruption, ended up in a desert, and the monite, the fossil, ended up sitting next to a cactus in the midst of a desert. And I thought that perhaps for the first time that monite, or that fossil, had the real impression of what the universe is about, of the fact that there are other lives, and that it was an opportunity to understand what her own life had been so far. I mean to say by this that I had the impression that, just like the monite or the fossil, when I first arrived and when I started shaking hands with you, I understood what my own life had been about, because there are other lives, there are other views of the universe which are not always taken on board. And by this, what I'd like to convey is the idea that if tackling with the universe, if you can see, if you have eyes, you realize that the people with visual disability have the exact same problem, so that our two approaches are not that different, really. Well, take a look at the technologies that we use to tackle with the health of the first group of the people who can see, and second group, the people who cannot see. And the disproportion is the same. When speaking about the health system, in reality, we should be speaking about an illness-based system, both physical illness and mental illness. But that's not what we are really focusing on. We do not focus on our body. We only look at our body when something does not seem to work. And I think that we are now going in a direction that of personal medicine or tailor-made medicine, where you will deal with your body before something happens to it. And when I see the disproportion in the technology used in the two cases, we see that it is the exact same thing. What kind of technology do we use to heal? Well, first, drugs. That is, out of the 3 trillion, and I'm using the United States because the rest of the world seems to think that it is there, that there is less health services. But there's $2 trillion spent in the United States in the health system, in technologies applied to this health system, is the exact same thing, the exact same figure as the one used for drugs. In other words, in the United States, health in the United States is about drugs. And probably it would be more correct to speak not about a health system, but of a system which is there to heal. So a first conclusion would be perhaps that there is I'm not going to say undue or exaggerated, but a disproportionate use. And this disproportion is in comparison with other technologies which are not used in the same proportion. So there's a disproportionate presence of drugs. However, today, when taking a look at the different technologies that can be applied to help the human body, that a friend, speaking with a friend, can perhaps be an even better drugs. And it's very curious, but now we are seeing in our labs that if you try to improve your level of happiness, or the increase of happiness can lead to diminishing the use of drugs in the future, because the psychological approach is so important. And we could even say that a friend is better than a drug for increasing your levels of happiness. What else do we use as a technology? For technology, what kind of technologies do we use to heal our body that we do not pay any heed to until it's ill? Well, I think that, well, the next in importance is the genes, or in the gene therapy that we have been paying attention since 1953, where